Good afternoon and welcome to the VDI with User Experience in Mind webinar. My name is Shannon Hazing. I'm with IPM and will be moderating today's session. Over the next 30 minutes, Rick Passero, Solution Architect at IPM, and Jeff Gonzalez, Solution Consultant at AppSense, will be discussing a recent VDI project at an NYC-based legal firm. Before we get started, a little bit of housekeeping for you. First of all, everyone is on mute. So if you have any questions during today's webinar, just go ahead and log those in the little questions pane in your GoToWebinar control panel. We'll be sure to answer all of the questions at the end of today's session. For those that are joining us today that are unfamiliar with IPM, I'll provide you with a quick introduction. IPM has been providing IT consulting services to the New York metro area for over 30 years now. We specialize in helping organizations transform from the desktop, deliver applications, enable mobility, and build solid infrastructure both on-premise and in the cloud. We hold top-level partnerships with Microsoft, Citrix, VMware, EMC, and AppSense, our co-host for today's webinar. So let's get started. I'd like to introduce Rick Passero, Solution Architect at IPM. Rick?
Good afternoon. As Shannon mentioned, my name is Rick Passero, Solution Architect at IPM. Here to share the story today of one of New York City's leading law firms, one of IPM's clients. They have nearly 700 staff, associates, and partners, and they inadvertently began down the path of a highly personalized desktop when they began accommodating individual partner requests for software, settings, and data access about 10 years ago. Now, when a firm decides to support desktop personalization, it can be a powerful statement that speaks volumes about a company's commitment to its people. However, what we found is that the impact of these initiatives can be significantly trivialized when advanced planning and preparation are not taken into account. Now, our story starts in about 2002 when the management at this particular law firm saw white glove customer service and desktop personalization as an opportunity to keep employees content and attracting talent. Over a 10-year span, IT developed inordinate amounts of custom login scripts and document templates and other customization to accommodate individual preferences, which was a plan with good intentions, but with unproductive and frustrating results. Over time, the IT department's main focus shifted from leveraging IT to advance the firm to catering to individual IT personalization requests. All this customization eventually began wreaking havoc on the firm's aging infrastructure and testing the patience of associates and partners alike. From lengthy login times and slow system performance to wasted billable hours and inefficient use of IT, this firm's quest for white-glove customer service and desktop personalization quickly became an out-of-control and unmanageable nightmare. IT spent a significant portion of each day manually installing software, writing custom scripts or macros, and helping employees personalize their technology experience at work, with inconsistent results and occasional system failures. As the years passed, this IT department struggled to keep pace with the demand for desktop personalization due to limitations of the firm's infrastructure, the lack of standardized management procedures, and the volume of manual labor was required to keep these customized projects operational. Partners were calling their assistants on their way into the office, asking them to start their computer and log in for them, because login times were taking upward 10 minutes. Once logged in, system performance was painfully slow, and various software versions and outdated hardware impeded productivity. Because the amount of personalization in the computing environment was so widespread, the IT department spent countless hours manually updating desktops because each one was so different. That's when the firm decided to engage IPM. IPM assisted the firm in identifying a number of strategic goals, which included enhancing the end-user experience, creating a modern, stable, and flexible desktop platform, and simplifying management of the environment. Now, this was a complex project over a period of 7 months that included foremost the implementation of a managed desktop. Now, what that entailed was migration from Windows XP to Windows 7, implementation of Citrix Zen Desktop and Citrix Zen App for VDI and published applications, Microsoft management tools, including System Center Configuration Manager, components of MDOP, including AppV, application packaging, and overall implementation of operational processes and methodologies to provide a level of control around IT tasks. Finally, the crucial piece, which was leveraging AppSense Environment Manager and AppSense Application Manager to properly support Windows 7 and Zen Desktop profiles and personalization. The results that we found from this implementation were dramatic. We were able to improve system performance and reduce login times from over 10 minutes to under 30 seconds. We replaced custom login scripts that were laborious and time-consuming to create with standardized profiles and reusable policy nodes managed by AppSense Environment Manager, which really helped to free up IT to focus on more strategic initiatives. We're also able to provide access from anywhere on any device with a consistent personal settings, whether it was a partner accessing a physical desktop in the office or remotely accessing a virtual desktop from their home. Now, this was, as I mentioned, a complex project with a lot of moving parts. At the conclusion of this webinar, someone will be following up with all the attendees to provide a copy of the full case study, which has all the details of that effort. So without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to Jeff Gonzalez from AppSense, who will provide more information about the AppSense platform.
Thanks, Rick. Hello, everyone. My name is Jeff Gonzalez. I'm with AppSense. I'm a solutions consultant with AppSense. So our legal customer story has a very happy ending, but the road never started out that way. As they started to accommodate the lawyer request to add additional new platforms to make them more productive, the environment got very difficult and hard to manage. So the day-to-day struggle to cater to the user needs and also for IT to provide security and control became very difficult over time, which happened to be over a span of 10 years. Now, we get lots of feedback from our customers, and we've learned over time that as you attach more newer technologies and newer platforms to the existing, you hardly ever really let go of the existing environment. So today, through desktop transformations we have, and we're interested in, and we're implementing virtual desktop environments and BYOD initiatives, you still have terminal servers or remote desktops existing in your environment, and you'll have to support those going forward for various reasons. So with AppSense, we simplify the management of all of this and make it so that you can achieve desktop personalization as well as control and standardization, and that can coexist in environments where you have physical and virtual, managed and unmanaged, PCs and mobile, as well as corporate-owned physical devices and BYOD devices as well. Now, in speaking with our customers and learning what non-optimized workspaces look like, they look something like this. And I would imagine this represents what our law firm clients' environment looked like over time, over the course of that 10-year span, where their environment just kept growing and growing, and new platforms kept being added to the existing. You had boundaries around the different platforms. You had different tool sets for managing the different platforms, and it became very difficult and complex over time. With AppSense, we help to erase those boundaries from the different platforms and unify it all into one individual workspace, providing IT a very effective way to manage policy, profile, privilege management, and performance management across all the different workspace delivery stacks that you're offering to your end users. Now, let's take a look at our example with our law firm. And one of their pain points happened to be logon times. And logon times for their end users on their VDI environment, caused a detriment to the success of that project, where users were experiencing, the typical issues like my desktop is slow. Issues such as this affect and inhibit overall strategic business initiatives like being able to serve your customers better than competitors, or to being able to attract and retain employees. So we look back from kind of the circle of life of an issue at the desktop level and how it affects the business. Here's a clear example of it, like our law firm. They wanted to cater to the user needs of their employees in order to retain employees and staff, but over time, without having an optimized workspace environment, the reverse effect occurred where the user's needs weren't being met, they were having a poor experience, and because of the complexity in the environment, it was a difficult environment to manage, right? So their life was very difficult on a day-to-day operations basis to maintain such a complex environment of various platforms. So log-on times is just one example of a pain point that could inhibit the success of the overall business strategy in implementing a VDI initiative and maybe some other products. So while it may be log-on times for our law firm example, there are other examples that our customers tell us, like user rights management, being able to do quick departmental moves and quick break-fix changes as it comes to physical desktops, and being able to offer a very high quality of performance on physical desktops, virtual desktops, and even remote desktop environments. And while all law firms' issues revolved around a successful VDI project, there are other projects that we can help to make a success, like OS application migrations and BYOD initiatives. Now, simplifying the complexity of these projects will prevent your end users from experiencing and providing feedback such as, I can't access my stuff. My icons are missing and they're not the same as they are in my remote desktop environment as they are in my physical desktop environment, or my new desktop is slow. And issues such as these that affect the end user's experience directly affect your organization's business strategies for wanting to implement a technology like virtual desktops, and it can get in the way of maximizing the success of it, maximizing the return on investment, and achieving your goals of attracting and retaining employees, simplifying management of the environment, and providing a way for users to access their desktop from anywhere. Now, AppSense has done quite a bit of research, and we've gotten quite a bit of feedback from our over 4,000 customers worldwide about the types of problems that cause them pain and make their life difficult to manage multiple workspace delivery stacks. So you may be experiencing, a tactical issue like a logon time. There are other similar types of issues that AppSense can help address, like increasing the performance on your physical desktops, your remote desktop servers, addressing printer issues, helping you deal with user rights and user installed applications, as well as many others that are on screen at the moment. Any questions?
Be sure to just go ahead and type those questions into the panel inside the GoToMeeting control. We do have, it looks like, 2 questions that have come in. Continue to go ahead and post those questions as we're answering these, and if we don't have time to get through all the questions, we'll certainly circle back one-on-one with answers. Looks like the first question that came up here is, does AppSense only work in VDI environments?
Good question. So no, AppSense works not only in VDI environments, it works on any Windows platform. So it works across your multiple delivery stacks, so any which way in which you're providing access to an operating system or an application, whether it be a virtual desktop, a physical desktop, a remote desktop server. AppSense can manage the user experience, provide IT a way to standardize and have control over the policies, the profile, the privileges, as well as the performance on these these multiple platforms.
Great, thank you. Second question, Rick mentioned that AppSense assisted the law firm by replacing custom login scripts with reusable policy nodes and environment manager, which helped free up IT to focus on more strategic initiatives. Can you explain what that means?
Sure. So login scripts are, I would describe them as, they can be complex and complicated, one, to create, two, to manage, and three, to deploy and execute. So with AppSense, we've replaced login scripts with multiple reusable nodes that apply the same actions that you're running in a login script, but AppSense runs and executes them in parallel using API calls. So it's a multi-threaded policy management engine. So whereas login scripts execute their lines of code sequentially, AppSense executes the policies in a multi-threaded fashion, so that if you need to apply 10, 15, 20 different actions at logon, they apply them all at the same time in parallel. You don't have to rely solely on applying these policy actions at logon, because AppSense makes available mid-session trigger points in which you can reapply the settings. For example, when you launch an application, when you reconnect to your session, etc. So we help to reduce the amount of time it takes to apply the actions, and we do it faster than you would with a login script.
Great.
And more importantly, one of the key things that we found in the law firm was the fact that these nodes are reusable. So you get a central consolidated view of the different types of actions that you have already created and set up in your environment, which are much more easily documentable, which does greatly assist in reusing those nodes in different use cases that have similar requirements, rather than having to essentially go back and reinvent the wheel every time a personalization request comes up by a partner or an associate.
Okay, great. Another question here. What happens when a user is offline and needs to run an application that they are not allowed to run?
Right. So let's say the user's device is offline and off your network, and not in a position to receive a policy update to allow that end user to run that application that they need to run at the moment for the situation they're in. So, for example, at a law firm, this could be a time when the lawyer or their staff are at another law firm's office, and they need to connect to a GoToMeeting, and they need to install the GoToMeeting or the WebEx plugin in order to connect to the meeting. Now, you may have a policy in place already in place and on that device to prevent the user from running unknown, untrusted executables, and that'll get in the way from actually that end user connecting to that conference, to that web session. So when it's offline, the attorney has the ability to phone up the help desk, his law firm's help desk, and have a policy change that will allow that end user to run that plugin that is otherwise prohibited or blacklisted. And the lawyer will have a way to provide an authorization code, whereby then the help desk person can provide the lawyer with a verification code to allow that otherwise prohibited executable while that laptop is off network. So that's how AppSense will address that.
Great. And it looks like we have one more question that just came in. Keep them coming. We can certainly continue for another couple of minutes to answer questions, and we'll circle back if we have more than we have time for. In the case study, how did AppSense assist with the migration from Windows XP to Windows 7?
Sure. So one way in which AppSense helps with migrations and really accelerates OS migrations is a couple reasons. So one is so AppSense doesn't rely on the Microsoft profile type. So as you go from earlier versions of an OS to newer versions of OS, the Microsoft profile type that loads by default is actually a different version as you go from Windows XP to Windows 7, and even from Windows 7 to Windows 8 and Windows 10. As you progress through those different versions, Microsoft has a version 1, version 2, version 3, version 4, version 5 profile type. the settings, locations where settings are stored are different from the different versions of Microsoft Profile Type. So because AppSense doesn't rely on the Microsoft Profile Type and we store the user settings, we decouple the user settings from the existing Microsoft profile, store it in a separate cache. You don't have that. You're able to overcome that challenge and limitation of incompatibility between the Microsoft profile versions with AppSense because we don't use the Microsoft profile type. So we're able to grab the Windows XP settings and migrate those settings and apply them in a Windows 7 environment very easily. We're adding compatibility on there, and it also helps to future-proof you for any future migrations, because once the user settings are stored in AppSense, you can then apply those settings for any future migrations going towards from Windows 7 to Windows 8 and even to Windows 10 very easily.
Great, thank you. We have a couple minutes left. Is there anything else, Rick and Jeff, you'd like to share with the audience before we close out?
We had a question in the chat window to circle back to this slide here and maybe dig into a few of these. So I'll just randomly pick a few of them and just kind of give you a few thoughts or bullet points about it. So we help with these tactical issues to really further the success of your various projects as you whether it be adding additional workspaces or managing the workspaces you already have. So in the areas of logon times, going back to one of the other questions was asked, how do we help with logon times? Well, we ensure that they're always as fast as they can be because our policy management engine uses multi-threaded actions in order to apply these settings. AppSense provides a way to not rely solely on logon to apply these settings and to shift and move and reduce the amount of actions that you're applying on logon and apply them through mid-session points. So your policy management now becomes on-demand policy management where settings are applied when they're needed and not just in case they're needed for the session. So I'll pick out another one in the last column towards the bottom where it says block malware or day zero. So we offer 0-day protection against unknown, untrusted executables with our patented technology called trusted ownership checking. And basically the concept behind how it works is in the AppSense configuration, you list and define a list of trusted accounts. And those are the accounts that are allowed to own the files on your system. When the user introduces or some other account introduces an executable into your environment, AppSense ensures that the ownership then becomes that account that introduced it to the environment. At the time of execution, AppSense checks to see who owns the file. So on any NTFS system, there's always an owner of a file. If that owner does not match up with what was placed in the AppSense config for the trusted owners that you define, it denies that executable from running. So there's, it goes, it expands upon whitelisting, blacklisting, where it can address gray listed applications that you just don't know the names of and you can't maintain on a list.
Wonderful, thank you. So we'll go ahead and close out today's session. We do have another event coming up as part of the VDI series. Next session is Thursday, February 26th at 2 p.m. So same time, 3 weeks from today. After this webinar, you will go ahead and receive an email that has the invitation to that upcoming webinar, a copy of this webinar. We have recorded today's session, and also a PDF of that case study that we've referenced today.